Hey, welcome to the 24K Life Code podcast. I'm your host, Derick Gant. And at the 24K Life, what we like to do is to bring you incredibly talented, educated, informed, and supportive guests that will help you to elevate your life. Today, we have a super special guest. I watched this guy on a different podcast and said, I have got to get him on my show. So today we have Kevin J. Mosley, and today's episode is called Code, Combat, and Cashflow. And that's because Kevin's background is just exactly what I said. It's about coding, about his military experience, and his past work experience with one of the more well-known Cashflow kings in the marketplace. Kevin, welcome.
Thank you. No, I appreciate you having me here, man. It's definitely an honor, Derek, to get connected with you. So I appreciate you for having me on your podcast.
Yeah, well, we have a mutual mission, man. Our mutual mission, in case you didn't know, was to help, I won't call them the downtrodden, but the ones that need a lot of help that normally don't get it, to make that money, and which is what you're doing. And my job is to help them keep that money so that they can live a financially free and a financially secure life. So we have a mutual agenda, and I'm glad to have you on because we normally don't get this topic in our universe because, most of the time we're talking about health and wellness and fitness people and all that kind of fun stuff. But I'm glad to have you here, man. And I'm ready just to jump in. But before we do, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? Like, where do you hail from? Where were you originally from?
Yeah, for sure. So I was born and raised on the west side of Chicago. So I stayed there most of my life, my youth, and my adult life as well. But essentially, single mom, raised in a single mom household. We end up, my junior year, we end up moving from Chicago to Columbus, Ohio, right? So super, like night and day. So my junior and senior year was in Columbus. My senior year, like a week before my 18th birthday, I ended up getting into some trouble. Ended up doing 3 months of house arrest, right? So long story short, ended up getting my record expunged and everything sealed. But from there, I ended up attending the University of Toledo, like I told you, for a semester. Didn't really like it. Then I moved back to Chicago, was working, doing different things, security mostly at the Board of Trade downtown in Chicago. And then I also was working like little side gigs, Jersey Mike subs, little sandwich shop jobs. But that's when I met my ex-wife, right? So met my ex-wife, this had to be around like 2013-ish. So met her, ended up saying, okay, I'm married now. She had a 4-year-old daughter at the time. So what I decided to do, I said, hey, let's make some big boy moves and let's move to Tennessee, right? I have family in Memphis. So we ended up moving to Nashville, Tennessee. I started working as a correctional officer at a maximum security prison there in Nashville. And my ex-wife was driving trucks at the time. So did that for about 10 months to a year. Got tired of the prison system, right? I said, I need something different. I got to do something different. And that's when I ended up joining the Navy as a police officer in 2015. So I did 5 years as a Navy cop, was stationed in Florida, was stationed in Oklahoma, and then I did a year overseas, small little island right outside of Saudi Arabia by the name of Bahrain. Got out 2020, and I kind of was, at a loss, right? I was going through a divorce, just had my daughter, right? So it was a lot of different things going on in my life. I wanted to do, something completely different from the cop thing. And that's when I got started into tech. I ended up going to a coding boot camp, and it pretty much started from there, man.
Where was the coding boot camp, and what attracted you to coding, man? Because I remember, and you're a young man. I mean, you got the whole world in front of you, which is why I was excited to have you. But I'm an older dude, right? I'm almost twice your age, given a couple of years, to be honest. So when I got exposed to coding, was in the beginning, of DOS.
Right.
You might not even know what DOS is, but
I've heard of it. Yeah.
You said I heard of it. But that was in high school, and I mean, I had no pension for it. Right? It was I just couldn't sit there that still, and it was just, to me, it was complicated. What made you think like I should go into coding? I should try this coding boot camp. What was it that kicked that off?
Well, I knew I didn't want to, have to carry a badge and a gun anymore, right? And be out in the elements and, cuffing and stuffing people, as they say. Um, I already had like some type of kind of like love for tech, right? Just growing up, my older brother, he always was into computers. So I would watch him, take apart and put back together computers and learn about RAMs and disk drives and, back when they had the floppy disk and all that stuff.
Right.
So I kind of had it in my head that I wanted to do something computer related. And of course, all veterans go IT. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do IT. I didn't want to do cybersecurity. I didn't want to have to get certs and keep getting recertified. I said, what can I do that I can do from anywhere in the world? And I pretty much can create my own path, right?
Okay.
And that's when I started sculpting my path and sculpting my goals for the tech industry. And that's what brought me to the boot camp. I attended General Assembly. I got lucky, actually, because I was able to do it remotely.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was able to do it remotely, and then I also was able to get it paid for by the GI Bill. So that's something they're not doing anymore. Still, they'll do it remotely, but you have to come out of pocket, right? GI Bill's not going to cover it anymore. So I got lucky on that aspect. But yeah, it taught me everything full stack development, right? So how to build websites, how to build mobile apps, front end, back end servers, databases, just kind of the whole. I don't want to say like sculpture of the web. But in a sense, kind of like an overall understanding
Right.
of the web technologies, right? It didn't make me a professional right off the bat. I had to get into the industry and start working.
Okay.
So my first job in the industry, actually, it was kind of a blessing because I ended up working for a prison education startup. So essentially, they have a software that's offered on, a tablet or like a laptop computer where they securely feed in any type of free educational content. So think about like Khan Academy, think
Yeah.
about like Coursera,
Right.
all of those platforms. We
Yeah.
filter it into the prisons.
Oh, really?
So that
So
was
what do you think about
experience.
what do you think about that as far as prisons are concerned? I mean, and what I'm asking you is obviously kind of off track, but your opinion is important, at least to me. So, you see these individuals go to prison for whatever ailments that they've created for themselves in society, and they talk about reform. Are they, are they really getting reformed? Do these things actually help them to when they come out? Because I just don't know.
Right, right. To answer your first part of your question, are they getting reform? I would say in a nutshell, no.
Okay.
One second, baby. From programs like we offer at my previous employer that I was telling you about the prison education startup, yes, right? Because
Okay.
those are going to give them practical information. It's going to teach them marketing. It's going to teach them real estate. It's going to teach them business fundamentals. It's going to teach them the things that they really didn't know about, right? They were doing it in a way by selling drugs or by doing different things, but they didn't understand the legalities of it. So I definitely think that helped a ton because, like I said, I was working on the platform and I got to meet with those guys every week. When I first started there, our very first client was the San Francisco County Jail. So you're talking about over 1,200,000 inmates, meeting with different guys. I think we had 3 separate pods at the time of 20 guys. So 60 guys to start. But it was just awesome to be able to hear those guys say, hey, man, I got on here and I started learning about marketing. I didn't know you could do this. Now I want to go into, when I get home, I only got, a couple more years to do in the jail. And now I want to go and start my trucking company. And now I understand that, before I get started, I can start marketing and doing this and that. It's to see the excitement on the grown man's face to know that his future wasn't bright at first, but now he has the options because of technology, right?
We all need hope, man. We all need hope, bro. And that's great. I love to hear that. So before you, well, how I met you was that you are famous, or infamous, if you want to say, however that goes, for sharing your experience at your previous employer. Tell us a little bit about that story.
Yep, man. So the experience,
Where do I
yeah,
start?
I want to see how to kind of structure it, because I didn't really get to that point in my story. But
Oh,
my previous employer was Grant Cardone, right? A lot of you guys might know him. A lot of people might not know him.
right.
Surprisingly to me, a lot of people don't still.
Yeah,
Um,
I actually started asking people maybe about 5 years ago if they knew who he was. Then I realized, as popular as he was in certain circles, he was equally as unpopular or unknown. I won't say unpopular, but unknown in other circles. And I was just like, okay, I get this. The world, it's a big world.
oh
So,
yeah,
but go ahead.
no, for sure, that's 100% correct. Because even at a lot of these events and stuff, people be like, "Who? What's 10x? Who is that?" Going back to answer your question, the experience overall working there wasn't so bad, right? A lot of unethical practices. But speaking to the experience of doing the interview that I did with Matthew Cox about my time there, that's been a whirlwind, man. You see a lot of the 10x crusaders, right? And I'm
Right.
not a hateful guy. I'm not a guy that tries to bring other people down, talk bad about people. That's not me. I simply wanted to share my experience while working for Grant because he's such a huge brand, right? Tens of millions of followers across social media, right? So
Right.
a lot of people were, oh, he's just a hater. He's a disgruntled employee. And it shocked me, right? But it's the internet. What
Yeah.
else? What
Yeah.
else? People can share their experiences, right? And that doesn't make, their comments wrong or anything like that, because I know what really happened, right? I was there every single day.
Mhm.
I did the time, so to speak. But definitely night and day from my experience working there for the company, and then kind of after working there and doing the interview, and kind of now, like I said, getting famous, because originally the interview was on Matthew Cox's channel and we did about 200K, and I want to say about 3 weeks. And instantly Grant, I guess, sent him a cease and desist, and he took it down. So
Mhm.
luckily I was able to record it and upload it on my channel. He
Good.
didn't care. But
Yeah, I get that. So when you look at that experience, did it help you grow as a businessman in any way or as an individual in any way? I mean, did you take away anything that you're like, man, at least I got this?
oh yeah, yeah, a ton of things. Like I said, just in terms of setting up strategic business practices, right? Because they do a lot of business there, right? Some good, some bad. So being able to, I think the biggest thing for me was seeing kind of the wealth aspect, guys making hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, being around that and seeing how they think. It's not a victim mindset. It's not very small minded.
Mhm.
Um, like a lot of people that are in poverty, right? It's like, woe is me kind of attitude that I was always used to seeing from family, and people around me as well, because we were uninformed. And
Right.
then getting into those rooms where you're seeing, guys like Mike Tyson, Ray Lewis walk through the office, guys like Timberland, the music producer, being around those guys who've done extreme things in their respective lanes,
Mhm.
right? And understanding that they're constantly there, to grow. Because me thinking, I was like, man, I see Timberland. I'm like, what can Timberland learn from Grant?
Right.
But he wanted different things in terms of marketing, in terms of, like the smaller things.
Right.
And those are what people, wealthier people, at least in my opinion, they look for, pretty much how they can learn in every situation. So I
Mhm.
think those are really the main things that I took from it, to be able to, get yourself in the right rooms, right? Get yourself around the right training. Even if some of that training may be unethical, you still can sift through it and say,
Right.
okay, I don't want to use those pieces. I want to use those.
Are you feeling stuck in life and finances? Introducing the 24K Life Code mobile app, your ultimate solution for personal and financial support. Available now on Apple App and Google Play stores. Our app provides online coaching with expert life, business, money, nutrition, and fitness coaches. With over 25 transformative courses, you'll master goal setting, time management, personal money management, and accountability. For less than $1 a day, you gain full access, 365 days a year, to the support you need. Join our thriving community, share your daily wins, and let's build your 24K life together. Download the 24K Life Code mobile app today and start living your best life.
So how have you changed your mindset, and how are you shifting it from that experience and that exposure to benefit yourself and your business as you continue to move forward?
The mindset, right? I think what really helped me, honestly, kind of get started in that mindset shift was the military.
Okay.
Just in terms of being more disciplined, being very intentional about the things that you're wanting to do, right?
Right.
Coming up with standard operation procedures, just like all the small things that you don't really understand or know about because you never taught, right? I think I have like one business owner in my family, which is my uncle, and he never really was a millionaire, right? He just kind of was a small business owner, never making over probably 300, 400K in a year, which is still good money. But once you get to a certain level, things start to operate differently, right? Especially when you have larger companies, hundreds and hundreds of employees, getting to see that how everybody has their role, right? They have their piece in the puzzle. And if that piece doesn't fit, the puzzle is not complete. Right. So understanding also that you can be a great CEO, you can be a great owner, great individual, but your employees are going to be the ones that pretty much are going to run your company. Right. Those are going to be the ones that the customers are going to interact with in the daily. Those are going to be the ones that, pretty much keep your company afloat. So feeding into your employees was huge, at least in my mindset, right? I only have like 2 employees currently that work for me part-time. I got a virtual assistant, and then I have another developer that helps me out with some of my web development company projects. But learning how to pour into them, right? Learning their needs, their likes and dislikes, learning, like my virtual assistant, she likes to work alone. I can check in with her once a week and it's good. My developer, I have to check in with him daily, right? I have to make sure that things are set up in a way for him to succeed. Shift in my mindset and not to really be in lack, right? A lot of times growing up in poverty, you think about like, oh, I can't do this or I can't do that because you never seen it, right? Like I always thought I couldn't, make $1 million. I haven't yet, but I've seen hundreds of millions in an account. I'm like, oh, okay.
Wow.
Now, when I seen that, I seen like 240 some million in an account, right? And I'm like, this could be my account,
right?
And it starts to kind of get you to think, like where they say seeing is believing.
Right.
Sometimes, a lot of times, that's true, right? You have to be exposed to certain things, and that's what I kind of also learned my time mentoring youth. I was working with this company called Champs Mentoring in Chicago, and that's one of their biggest things is empowerment, education, and exposure.
Did you, when you talk about mindset shift, you've experienced more of the world than most people. You've experienced more of the world than most Black people by far. Was that part of your mindset shift, like being in Saudi Arabia and being in the military and seeing how things work? And then you go into business, and I'm assuming there's some carryover in the mindset as far as discipline and consistency is concerned to deliver top shelf results. I'm assuming that was similar, was it?
Oh yeah, very much similar. Just being punctual, just being on time, like the small things that kind of take for granted for the military, right? Especially once you get up in the ranks, NCO ranks or whatever they call it. When you have people under you and you have to do performance reviews and evaluations, and you have to run what they call like a guard mount, which is like a formation, right? All of these moving parts. And you have to work with people from all over the world, so I think all those little things really helped me and stuck with me, especially. And then also just the people aspect, right? Being in law enforcement, security, being able to talk to people, being able to de-escalate situations, I think it's huge in business because a lot of times, at least from a tech perspective, right? Like I meet with a lot of people and they're like, hey, I need this on my website. They don't understand what it takes to get that done on a website. So having the conversation and getting them to understand, like, hey, this will be best suited. This is going to be the direction that we need to go. This is how much it's going to cost. This is going to be the timeline. If those things can't be met, then we can't do this project.
What's the future for you? What are you thinking about? What are you doing? What are you pressing towards?
Pretty much, I want to create the first $1 trillion hood, right?
What's a trillion dollar hood? What's a $1 trillion hood?
And when I say that is I want to bring like Silicon Valley to the inner cities,
okay,
you know, in a kind of simpler statement, right? Because 10 companies, tech companies right now, right? Each one of those tech companies sells for 100 million. That's $1 billion for myself.
Right.
Now let's flip that on the instructor tip. If I'm teaching hundreds or thousands of kids to build 10 apps each and selling them each, now we have our own conglomerate, right? Now we have our own source of wealth building. We have our own source of technology resources, because the thing with technology is it's all around us.
Right.
People take it for granted because we're so used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything we do is technology. But look, the human body is the largest piece of tech we own. You can scratch yourself and it can heal itself, right? How do those things work? Because it's similar with technology, right? We're all kind of built technology is built based off of the human body.
Right.
So we have to understand those things and we have to use those to our advantage. And I think now the youth more than ever wants to do that. Yeah. And I think that's kind of my purpose now. You know, as I'm doing more mentoring, as I'm teaching more, I kind of see that, you know, the kids are willing to learn, but the only thing is they're stuck in their mindsets, right? Yeah. They think that tech is for geeks. They think that coding requires too much math. They think that, you know, oh, I can't do that because I don't know how to work a computer. Right. Like, you know, all these things that is pretty much working against themselves, right? Their mindset is working against them.
Okay. So I have one of my most favorite people in my life is a young man named Luke Johnson. He's he's at NCAT, North Carolina Agricultural Technology. What would you tell him? You know, he's in engineering school. He's in, I think, the soft side. He's not on the hardware side. He's on the soft side. What would you tell him, number one, as far as to be considering moving forward? And what do you say some of the greater opportunities are that he should be looking at? You know, of course, everybody goes, oh, I'm going to go to Apple. I'm going to go to Silicon Valley. You know, it's crowded there. So what would you advise him to do?
Yes, I would say first, number one is start now, right? And what I mean by that, start building. So if he already has a good baseline, he knows how to code, he should start getting out there freelancing. He should start doing free projects. He should start doing, you know, like small community projects, maybe locally on the university, building things. And the reason why I say that is because the more practical knowledge that you have and how you can speak to those, you know, that knowledge is what's going to help them the most. With him being in college now, honestly, the industry doesn't really even care anymore about college degrees and different things. It'll help you out, but they're looking for more practical. They're looking for people to say, hey, while you were in college, what did you build? Hey, I built the app, you know, for all of my students, you know, all of the students on the university to be able to meet up for structured study sessions. So, you know, History 307 could, you know, get in this meetup group, and everybody that has that class could say, hey, let's study at University Hall at this time. Right? Something small, but it's something practical that people could use, and a tech company can say, oh, wow, okay. You actually build something that's a solution to a problem, right? People being able to meet up and wanting to study. I think those are the biggest things, you know, start now, start to build technology and start to put yourself out there. So that way, once you get to the level to where you want to be hired, it's simple, right? And I'll, you know, share a quick story. Probably about 3 or 4 years ago, when I first got started, I met a young kid. He was 16 at the time. So he's in college now, University of Michigan. But he was programming since 6th grade, and I met him. He was 16. So this kid was like on the level of like a senior developer at 16. But he had built so many projects and so many different things that now I think he has an internship. He might be a sophomore now, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I think he has an internship for Google, which I told him, working for the bigger companies, it sounds good. You make a lot of money, but I'm always a huge component in doing things a little bit smaller. That way you can work on your own stuff.
Okay.
Because the bigger companies, you still can work on your own stuff, but their stuff is kind of set in stone. Not to say I won't work for a bigger company, because I might one day, right? But I'm always for building. But I said all that to say that pretty much, since he started coding in 6th grade, all the way up to 12th grade, he was building a bunch of different projects. So now once he gets into college, now it's like, okay, this kid has 6-7 years of experience. We can see what he's built, and we know that the things that he's done is actually things that, could help someone in real life. And I think that's what a lot of people in college, they get caught up in, doing like the cool stuff, all the cool technologies and staying with the trends. So I definitely wouldn't recommend that at all. I would say, jump foot first, what you can build and start solving problems around the university campus.
Having people understand that they can do it too, and that they can accomplish great things if they expand their mindset is the message that I truly wanted to get across today. So we're going to encourage, these young people. You also help veterans too, right?
Yep. That's mostly who I help.
Okay.
That's mostly who I help is veterans.
Yeah, so we want to encourage these individuals to really deep dive, to reach out to you, to figure out not to limit themselves, and to understand that they can do it too. That's the most important message that I think you shared today, and I really appreciate you and Kennedy's time this on today.
No, I appreciate you for having me on your platform again. They're definitely an honor, man. Just helping me share my story, right? And being able to accomplish the things that I want to accomplish. Like you said, I'm still young. And now that I've been more intentional, I've seen my life kind of take a, huge 180 turn, right? The more and more intentional that I am, the more people that I seem to meet with, like-minded, the more opportunities that come along in business, the more opportunities that come along, just in working, promotions, things like that. So it's so many different areas of life that could be impacted by, like I said, the mindset and being intentional about the things that you do. So that's my biggest thing, especially for the youth. All those things that come into play.
Yeah, you're right. You are so right. Well, good, man. Well, thank you so much. We're going to put this out, and we're going to beat the drum that everybody should check out Military Then Code, and hopefully expand that mindset that you were talking about to grow their business, their lives, and their families. I'm Derick Gant. Be your best, bring your best, leave nothing to chance.